Welcome back, friends. Last guy for time for more Greatest Attorney Voice, LP. I don't remember what I was going for here. Which part of Darkseid's story is shown to be a lie by the contradiction in her testimony? How she was coerced, the stabbing of the victim, the autopsy report. I don't remember. So, we're gonna just grab one of these. Let's go with the autopsy report. Go that. You say that you examined the body and wrote this report based on your findings. But that's a blatant lie, isn't it? Huh? I'm sorry, but I simply can't fathom what you're attempting to say. Oh, that's not the wrong one then, huh? The truth is you had your subordinates do the work for you, and they authored the report. But then you wielded your superiority over them and claimed the credit for yourself. What does that have to do with it? Can you honestly say that's not what happened? Yes, I can honestly say that's not what happened. Because that's not what happened! I picked the wrong one. Well, good. Glad to hear it. I picked the wrong one. What on earth was the purpose of that exchange, Counsel? Will this farce never end? Try again. But there's no question that the coroner's testimony was built on a tremendous lie. Which part of Dr. Seitz's story is shown to be a lie by the contradiction in her testimony? Let's go with the stabbing of the victim. The answer is very simple. If you consider the sequence of events, if when the victim was stabbed, the blood from the wound seeped downwards as it did, we can be sure that the victim must have been either sitting or standing upright at the time. But as you rightly pointed out, the birdcage would have fallen on its side when it fell beneath the stage. Yes, it would. Which tells us that the victim must have been in that position of his own accord.
Objection!
That's impossible. The man was dead, remember? No, that's the misapprehension. I only got one guess left now. Woo, 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 everyone's reacting. When the birdcage fell from the stage into the void below, it must have hit the ground with considerable force. Okay. But Mr. Asman didn't die in the fall. Okay. He probably lost consciousness for a while, but when he came around, he got to his feet and climbed out of the cage. Just as Dr. Scythe appeared. Oh! I thought the other guy did the kill here, but no, someone had to shoot the balloon. If the victim was in fact alive at that point in time, it changes everything. Stab. Woo. Mr. Odiasman's killer wasn't the defendant, Professor Albert Harebrain. Nor was it the mastermind behind the stage trickery, Mr. Enoch Drebber. It was you, Dr. Courtney Scythe. Alright, so what? Order. Can this possibly be true? Have you been taking me for a fool? It was you, who was it? Oh, it was you, was it? You killed him? You know that by admitting to being an accomplice in Dr. Drebber's scheme, the trial would end, before you were accused of a far worse crime. Cold-blooded murder. Oh, do shut up. You're so desperate now, you're making all of this up. As if I would do something like that.
Objection!
Whoa, she's coming in. I assure you, the defense is not desperate, Doctor. Mr. Naruhodo has established the facts using evidence and logic alone. Ha, logic? Don't make me laugh. Sadly, your logic has a gaping hole in it. What? What do you mean? I'd have thought it was obvious. A motive, boy. You're lacking a motive. What possible reason would I have to kill Mr. Asmund? Asmund was involved in any number of criminal activities, from coercion to theft to murder. But there is no known connection to Dr. Scythe there. Huh. I'm rather relieved to say it does seem somewhat far-fetched. True, there's no obvious motive, but there's still something in the back of my mind. I feel sure I've seen something somewhere that hints at why the coroner might have done this. Yes, I might have tampered with the crime scene and concocted a fake report. But murdering someone for no reason is a very different story.
Objection.
No, when you questioned what possible reason you could have for wanting to kill Mr. Asmund, something did come to mind. What? What was it, Counsel? Enlighten the court at once. Yes, we saw it yesterday, didn't we? Something that seemed strange, but we had no reason to suspect it at the time. There's a particular object that explains why Dr. Scythe would have wanted to kill Mr. Asmund. I'm gonna need to save on this one. I don't know if we have a... There's no thing there, but we should save to be safe. The Iron Mask? It's the Iron Mask. You've lost me. Huh? Sorry, Miss Naruto, but why the Iron Mask? Well, of all the things I saw yesterday, it left the greatest impression, so... Clearly you have no idea what you're talking about. I think I must have said the wrong thing. Forgive the interruption, Dr. Scythe, but what my colleague meant to say was scalpels. Perhaps that makes a little more sense to you. Okay. Of course. Did you say scalpels? It would appear that word has struck a chord, Doctor. You... Come on, out with it. It was yesterday when we visited your laboratory. Look at that big thick book up here. It appears to be a accounting ledger. It's a record of the forensics investigation team's spending, I think. Oh? What is it? It's clear that the team purchases various equipment and supplies on a monthly basis, but one entry seems rather strange. Really? In what way? They're buying 500 scalpels every month. Embezzlement? Embezzlement? Is that what's going on here? 500 scalpels? A month? At first I wondered what on earth you could be using that many scalpels for. But actually, I realize now it's not the scalpels themselves that are significant. It's the money for them, disappearing every month from the department's accounts. Asmund's criminal organization relied heavily on extortion for its funding. Tracing the money from the forensic investigation team's account to find out where it was going would be extremely straightforward. 10 years ago, when Mr. Asmund was still a journalist and wrote this article about Mr. Drebber, he may well have stumbled upon information as he was researching the story. Information relating to Dr. Scythe's darkest secret that he would use to rack money from her for the next decade. The darkest secret? Good lord, you mean? I don't know what happened on the night of that execution 10 years ago. But clearly the opportunity to rid yourself of that menace was too tempting to pass up. So in the end, you weren't coerced at all, were you? You did it entirely of your own free will. You stabbed Mr. Asmund in the heart with all your might. To silence the blackmailer who knew your dark secret forever. You'll never understand. None of you. What we've had to keep covered up all these long years. Hmm. Hmm. Hmm? As very little of the machine remains after it was ripped apart by the bomb. The truth of this case can never be properly established unless you speak out. And if you decide not to, it's very possible that Courtney Scythe will escape punishment for her crimes. Please, sir, own up to what you've done, and tell the court the truth about what happened. 10 years ago you told the truth, and you were robbed of a bright and successful future as a result. I can certainly understand your bitterness, and your consternation now. However, this is surely the chance you've been waiting for, to sever the hold that fate's had over you all these years. Super high voltage instantaneous kinesis? I mean, really. Huh? I mean, really. That's a better way to do it. It's the addled-brained mock scientists that are the worst, you know. They don't recognize the fact that they don't have talent. They can't even get that right. And so, they end up chasing impossible dreams, having unbridled faith in their abilities. They go on and on about their wonderful hypotheses, their stupid eyes shining like a little child's. They make me sick. I can't abide their foolishness. Careful, Mr. Trevor. I was particularly pleased with the kinesis machine. It made for quite a show, didn't it? So you admit it? You admit that it was nothing more than a sham made for the purpose of killing the victim? Yes, I admit it. I did it all in the name of revenge. Revenge for the future that Mr. Asmon's article had deprived you of for 10 years earlier. But the revenge you sought didn't stop at Asmon, did it? Which is where that very peculiar waxwork comes in. Yes, I see. The condemned convict that you saw rising from the grave in Lowgate Cemetery 10 years ago. If your account of those events was all true, then obviously Scotland Yard couldn't afford to acknowledge what had happened. Even if it meant discrediting a bright young man and crushing any future career he might have had. So your plan required that you abduct that particular waxwork model, in order to exact your revenge on Scotland Yard as well. Or on Dr. Scythe, to be precise. It was a year ago. By some extraordinary twist of fate, Asmon turned up at my workshop. He didn't remember who I was, of course. He just wanted to employ my services as an engineer. And he happened to have a paper with him. An article on the front page caught my eye. About the coroner who handled that bogus autopsy, being appointed head of a new forensic team. When I learned that news, my cognitive processes started to devise the plan. What a horrid tale! He robbed me of my future, so I wanted to use the man's own wiles against him for revenge. And have that rotten Scotland Yard eating out of my hand at the same time. I wanted them all to suffer the same humiliation I'd had to suffer. Your actions against those who ruined your future were justified as revenge, at least to yourself. Certainly, no one has the right to destroy another's prospects, especially for purely selfish gain. And yet, in carrying out your plan, you did exactly that to someone else, didn't you? Did I? Professor Harebrain's only crime was passion for his hypothesis. But he had no compunction about sacrificing his future to effect your revenge. You knew that he would be forever branded a failure and a fraud. Perhaps life treated you unfairly 10 years ago, and others' misconduct left your life in tatters. But remember this. Your own actions resulted in exactly the same thing for another perfectly innocent young man. Aye. F you, guy. You wait for someone who's like, no, screw you, guy. Lord Von Zeeks, what of Dr. Scythe? An immediate warrant for her arrest has been granted, and she's been remanded in custody, my lord. I presume she will face trial in the coming days, along with Mr. Drebber. A most regrettable situation indeed. She's made great contributions to her profession over the years. It really is a hard truth to swallow. However, that is a topic for some future occasion. For now, Professor Harebrain. Yes? It seems there was a great deal more to your experiment than you realized. However, I think we can assume now that all the sordid details have been brought to light. This has been a very long and profound trial, but I'm pleased to say you are absolved of all guilt. This whole experience has taught me a very great but painful lesson. I've been, this dedicated scientist, this devotee of natural philosophy, I've been selfish and self-centered, and above all, a fool. Professor. I spent my life thinking of nothing but my research, misguidedly believing that I could do whatever I set my mind to despite my lack of talent. And the worst of it is, in the process I've caused others pain and misery. Others who are far, far greater people than I. No, Professor, that's not true. What? Don't tar yourself with the same brush as Drebber. What happened was his doing and his alone. This outcome is his fate, not yours. You're not to blame in any way. Lord Von Zeeks. And the derision with which he referred to you earlier, calling you a fool, talentless even. The man has no idea. To believe in yourself and work your fingers to the bone to realize your dreams. That's laudable, not laughable. No one has the right to deride another for such choices. Oh. Thank you, Thank you, Barak. So, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Yes, my lord. It is this court's expectation that you find the defendant not guilty of the charge of which he stands accused. I presume there are no objections? None from me, my lord. Certainly not. This trial has really made me think, but this is the right decision. It's all been proven methodically and rigorously. I have no misgivings whatsoever. I remember Corn Girl's voice right now. What's that? He's done, is it? It's all over? I don't know what's become of the yard these days. I don't recognize the place. That should be the voice from the start for that guy. Or some Kadri voice. Very well. In that case, I hereby pronounce the defendant not guilty. Yay! This case was a bitch. I know this is my least favorite case, but I'm not a big fan of it. Soseki's cases might be my least favorite, actually. As fun as that voice was, like, they're so silly. Like, happenstance, the what's-her-name gets stabbed. He has nothing to do with it. The second one, forget what the silliness is. It's just like, what even ever? What even for this guy? Oh no, the final case of the first half was my least favorite, because it just was too insane. Court is adjourned. It was too insane. It's over. That was some trial. "24th of October, 4:33 p.m. The Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber." Why is it called an antechamber, not chamber? Professor, what a splendid outcome, isn't it? Oh, it is, it is. Congratulations, Professor Harebrain. This is not a hodo. Mrs. Sato. I am truly beside myself with gratitude. How can I ever thank you enough? I'm just glad it's been cleared up, that you realize you were just caught up in a bad situation. Right now, you know, if I had that research grant money, I give the whole lot to you, every penny. Well, that's very kind, but I'm just a student, so... We don't need any financial reward. Your quota is more than enough. Oh dear. But what can I do? Aha! How about this? As a memento, the paper about my hypothesis is inside. Well, just as a memento then, thank you. I've been wondering, Professor. What are you going to do now? Oh my, yes. What am I going to do? My hypothesis of my great machine lied in ruins. But still, it's been too long since I was last in London, so perhaps I'll enjoy some sightseeing. I must explore the great exhibition whilst I'm here, too, and see if new inspiration hits me. Okay, what you... Oh yes, that's a wonderful idea. I can't allow that. I can't allow that. There you go, yep. Lord Von Zeeks, what are you doing in here? Barrack! I'm sorry you had to go through that, Albert. Well, if I'm honest, it was terrifying. You were like a great demon behind your bench there, snarling down on your prey. You're one of the few true friends I have. I couldn't leave it to anybody else to handle this prosecution. Or the defense. Sorry? Or the defense? Did I just hear that right? I always knew that you had my best interests at heart. Don't worry. How about you show me around while I'm here in town? It's been a long time since we left university. We have a lot to catch up on. Listen, Albert. In a few days, your acquittal will be made official. When that happens, you must head straight to Dover. I'll accompany you. What? From there, you'll cross the channel and make your way back to Germany. I've already purchased the tickets. But no! Hold on a minute, Varric. The Reaper of the Bailey, that's why. What about the great exhibition? This is the chance of a lifetime for me. I want to look around. No. No sightseeing, Albert. Give up on the idea. Sometimes it's hard to see any warmth in those eyes, Varric. Lord Von Zeeks? What's all this about? A necessary precaution. Yes, I think I understand. You do? Well, Iris told me that when you met Lord Von Zeeks at his office some days ago. He asked how Mr. Natsume was doing. Yes, that's right. I remember being surprised at the time and thinking it was nice and ask. The point is, Mr. Natsume is still alive and well. Even though, it's been more than 6 months now since he stood trial with the Reaper as the prosecution. Ah, you mean... the Reaper's influence doesn't stretch overseas? Those in the Reaper's sights meet their ends days or sometimes months after their acquittal. That's been the pattern up to now. Of course you know that both Mr. Natsume and Gina were completely innocent. True. And perhaps that governs the Reaper's actions. The truly innocent are spared. But I don't want to take any chances with a close personal friend. Barrack! Like the mustached Nipponese, this man should leave the country without delay. That's why I'm panicking. I read panicking. That's why I'm packing him off to Germany at once. Right. Does your friend-shaped package get any say in it? Goodness, was this your intention all along, Lord Von Zieks? In court, where people think of him as the Reaper, this man seems absolutely merciless, and yet... sometimes I feel as though I don't understand him at all. It's time to go, Albert. Back to the prison for the time being. Ah, yes, all right. Well then, Mr. Naruhodo. Thank you so much for everything. Not at all, Professor. It was a pleasure getting to know you. Best wishes, Professor Harebrain. Well, once it does settle, you must come and visit me in Germany. Anyway, goodbye for now. May we never see him again. Until the credits. Now, my Nipponese friend. Oh, yes? I thought you'd gone too. We have matters to discuss. Can you spare me some time? You want to talk with me? I'll be waiting in the courtroom in 10 minutes. Well, that was strange. For some reason, I didn't get that sense of impending doom as he walked away this time. Probably gonna meet this guy who looks like Kazuma. The Enigma, Barrack Von Zieks. What does he want to discuss, I wonder? The answer awaits in the courtroom, I suppose. Here goes, then. Walk in and get stabbed. Oh no! 24th of October, 4:58 p.m. The Old Bailey courtroom. Oh yeah, the mask. We're gonna look at it? So are you satisfied? You saved a guileless scientist from a great injustice. Yes, I think so. I'm relieved, at least, that the man's innocence could be proven. Anyway, I imagine you've been wondering where my animosity towards you Nipponese comes from. Oh, is this guy Japanese? The killer? Ooh. Well, at first I thought you just didn't like me. I imagine you saw me as a pretentious child from an unimportant land who had no business being here. But now I think differently. You clearly know our ways. I would guess that some specific incident led to your thorough dislike of my race. Will you tell me what happened, please? The Professor. I thought I'd never hear that name in this courtroom again, to be honest. He took your brother's life. Clint, my brother, was Clint Von Zieks. 16 years ago, when I was still just in my teens. He was already the director of prosecutions and a key member of the judiciary. I looked up to him. He was everything I aspired to be. I was looking at her. He was involved in the establishment of justice systems in foreign countries as well. There were exchange programs between Britain and other nations then too, to share knowledge and ideas. As part of one of those programs, 3 judicial students came to Britain from their homeland, the Empire of Japan. Oh! If it was 16 years ago, then one of them could have been my father. Of course, I remember Dr. Mikotoba well. I had no idea. I was a minor at the time, training at the prosecutor's office. One day Clint introduced me to the 3 visiting Nipponese. So, you've actually met my father. He and his colleagues were polite and amicable. They were adept at their work and exacting in their standards. It was my first encounter with the Nipponese spirit, and it made a very great impression upon me. But 6 years later, that's when it happened. The investigation was going nowhere. There were no suspects even, just an ever-growing list of victims. And in the end, my brother became one of them. The last, in fact, before the case was finally resolved. I'm sorry, Lord Von Zeeks, truly. Clint was always ready to put his life on the line for justice anyway. So he wouldn't have wanted it any other way. He lost his life to the killer, but it was his victory in the end. For me personally, though, it was a great loss. I found myself in a very dark place indeed. When I finally found out the killer's identity, the reason why no one had been able to catch the man sooner ceased to be such a mystery. He'd been hiding in plain sight all the time. In plain sight? Are you aware of political events 10 years ago? There was a period of extremely sensitive diplomacy between the British and Japanese empires. A new treaty was being forged, I think. Correct. The Anglo-Japanese Treaty of Friendship and Navigation was being concluded. The leaders of both countries were deep in extensive political discussion. Which is why this particular killer's appearance in court was conducted as a closed trial. If the British public had known the identity of the killer, not only would the treaty have been in jeopardy, but our 2 nations could have very well ended up at war. What? A war between Britain and Japan? You can guess what happened. But that would mean... Oh my, you mean to say the professor was... Yep, it's the only answer.
When the trial reached its conclusion earlier, I thought to myself, yes, it's time. Time for you to come face to face with this hideous monster.
The only voice I like is Von Zeke's voice in this entire thing.
I borrowed the key for the mask from the proprietress of the Waxwork Museum. So see for yourselves now. Confirm it with your own eyes. The truth that's been hidden this past decade.
That's the professor?
Yes, that's him.
Yeah, do not care for Naruhodo's voice.
Until now, the thought never even crossed my mind. That the mass murderer, whose crimes shook Britain as never before,
Ooh, he's got the mustache.
was Japanese.
Okay, that sounded better.
Wait a minute. That face. I feel as though I've seen it somewhere. It's strangely familiar.
Whew. Why is it affecting Kazuma? Yeah, too much wine. Okay, Char, okay.
Father.
Ah! I made that guess in my head, but I can't believe that's actually what it is. Oh my god.
What? Father?
That's why she's seen the face. The reveal.
Kazuma!
You guessed correctly.
My best friend, Kazuma Asogi.
Okay, now he sounds like he's actually trying to do the accent. What happened earlier?
After a whole year, finally his memories returned.
Or just this one memory.
As he stood there before me. Ryunosuke. Hello again. My friend.
Kazuma-sama!
Judicial Assistant Mikotoba. It's been a very long road. Thank you. Thank you for guiding my friend here when I could not.
It was an honor.
I knew you wouldn't die that easily. Kazuma.
I owe you thanks, too, for taking good care of that in my absence.
Oh. Karuma, the great blade of the Asogi clan, passed down through the generations. When we left Japan, this sword was at my friend's side. A Japanese man's katana is his soul, and he couldn't be parted from it. But then, when the incident happened, it was Susato-san's wish that I inherit the sword, and I've kept it with me ever since, along with my memories of the friendship we shared.
There's a lot
With
happening.
this by my side, I always felt that you were watching over me somehow.
I've made it. At last. Father.
Okay, so there were 4 names on that list, and Kazuma was one of them. I forget what the other 3 were. I think, Iris's dad was on there too. I can't remember who else was on that list of 4. But yeah, what the hell?
Are you saying... Surely not. You mean, you knew all this time? I'm looking at it, but I still can't believe it. This mass murderer is Kazuma's father.
Yeah, knew he was gonna put his sword on it. What's her name's gonna be very upset.
Kazuma-sama.
Ryunosuke. We have much to talk about, but now is not the time. I'll be seeing you.
That's all Kazuma said. Before he turned and left us there, in the courtroom.
He just stood there for all that. So he's the living after image of the man who took my brother's life, is he? Yes, Kazuma Sogi, my best friend. 3 months ago, when Lord Strongheart introduced us, I had an inkling there was something there, some connection. But why did Lord Strongheart do that? Why did he make Kazuma Lord Von Zeke's apprentice? And when he was suffering amnesia, too? The man was apprehended, even executed. But his legacy just won't die. That's the sad truth. Anyway, that's all I had to say. I thank you for meeting with me as I asked. And then he just vanished right in front of us. Like the vampire that he is. 10 years ago, my grandmother took me to the railway station. We were there to meet my father from the train. For me, it was the first time I'd ever seen him. He went on the trip when she was born. Poor Sasato-san. All this is tied up with painful memories for her, too. She's never talked about this with me before, though. It took time to adjust to having father around, but just when I was starting to get used to it, he called me into his study one day. He told me that a great friend of his had passed away in London, and that the friend had left behind a son, a boy 7 years my senior. Father told me the boy had made a promise to his late father, that he was studying to become a defense lawyer. I wanted to help, so I studied to become a qualified judicial assistant. As I'm sure you've worked out, that young man's name was Kazuma Asogi. So you see, that's how he and I met. And Nadahoda's like best friends with Kazuma and they never met.
My great friend had returned, only to disappear again all too soon. But in that fleeting encounter, something stirred. Something that had been dormant for a long time. As if great wheels had been set in motion. I could almost hear them creaking into life. In some ways, it was the end of a chapter, but in many, it was the start of a new one.
Literally, yes. You still gotta see Iris and Holmes, or no? No, we're not. Okay, that's the end of the chapter. There's only one case left. We got the demasking awarded. Okay. Save the game. Alright. Man, that took forever to get through. Twisted Karma and his last bow. This is the last one. Oh no, it's episode 4. We were on case 3? Jesus, alright. There's 2 more cases? There's 2 more cases? This whole time, I thought it was on the 4th case somehow. First case was a reporter. The second case was... What was the second case again? Oh yeah, the other half of Saseki's case, right, yeah. There was apparently a second half to that freaking case. And then... yeah, that has to do with the Green Lady. And then this case, so there's 2 more. Twisted Karma and his last bow. So we still need to cover the Hound of the Baskervilles. What the hell's that's all about, right? Because Iris still doesn't know about her dad. And then... I don't know, there's probably more to do with this, with the dad's identity. I don't know what else there is that needs to be figured out. Well, the Reaper has to be figured out. Who is the Reaper? Probably going to get figured out by the end of this whole thing. That's it for now. I have fun. Hope you have fun watching. That's what's all about it. Having fun. Thanks for coming by, and see you next time.